Tahniah! Siaran langsung ini dibawakan khas kepada anda oleh Akademi YouTuber Malaysia. Sebuah inisiatif e-didik Malaysia dan Kelab Guru Malaysia. Tumpukan perhatian anda. Siaran langsung akan bermula sebentar lagi. Link sijil akan diberikan di hujung siaran ini. Pastikan diisi dalam tempoh yang ditetapkan. Terima kasih.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Sejahtera, selamat petang dan selamat datang ke Pusat Tuition Akademi YouTuber Malaysia dengan kerjasama e-didik Malaysia dan Kelab Guru Malaysia. Bermula percuma, selamanya percuma. Okay. Apa khabar para penonton, guru-guru serta anak-anak pelajar yang dikasihi sekalian? Walau di mana jua anda berada, cikgu doakan anda sentiasa berada dalam keadaan yang sihat walafiat. Alhamdulillah, syukur kita kepada Allah. Petang ini kita dipertemukan sekali lagi dalam siri ulang kaji Fizik SPM tingkatan 4 yang dibawakan secara live dari channel Mr. Peh. Okay. Seperti biasa, sebelum memulakan kelas, ayuh kita memohon rahmat dan berkat pada Allah SWT. Kita mulakan dahulu dengan umul kitab Al-Fatihah. Bagi yang bukan beragama Islam, anda boleh bertafakur mengikut kepercayaan masing-masing. Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma syrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma ftah 'alaina hikmataka wa anshur 'alaina min khazaini rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Amin amin ya rabbal alamin. Insyaallah mudah-mudahan perjumpaan kita di majlis ilmu pada petang ini beroleh berkat dan rahmat pada Allah dan memberikan manfaat kepada semua yang mengikuti. Okay, sekali lagi cikgu ucapkan selamat datang ke kelas tuition percuma secara langsung dari channel Mr. Peh. Petang ini kita ada bersama dengan cikgu, ada 3 orang guru di konti. Yang pertama, cikgu perkenalkan dulu diri saya, diri cikgu, iaitu Cikgu Hasmita dari SMK Bagan Jaya Batu Pulau Pinang selaku moderator anda pada petang ini. Selain itu turut berada di konti seperti yang kelihatan pada skrin sekarang, Cikgu Izian dari SMK Teluk Panglima Garang, Selangor. Dan kita ada Cikgu Kok Simai selaku control host dari Kok Simai dari SMK St. David Melaka. Okay, dan tidak lain dan tidak bukan presenter kita pada petang ini iaitu Cikgu Peh Kok Hua ataupun lebih dikenali dengan Mr. Peh Segak berbaju merah pada hari ini. Selamat Tahun Baru Cina Mr. Peh. Cikgu Kok, Sinin Kuala. Okay.
Wow.
Mr. Peh dari SMJK Tinggi Cina Melaka. Okay, jadi petang ini Cikgu Peh akan membincang dengan kita iaitu teknik menjawab kertas 3. Okay, seperti mana yang anda tahu, calon-calon SPM akan menduduki ujian amali tidak lama lagi iaitu pada 15 Februari. Jadi cikgu rasa ini adalah kesempatan yang terbaik. Okay, bagaimanakah cara yang terbaik untuk kita nak deal dengan kertas 3 ini. Jadi anda boleh kongsikan lagi link kelas kita kepada rakan-rakan yang lain. Share-sharekan link, mudah-mudahan ramai lagi yang dapat manfaat daripada perkongsian pada petang ini. Okay, sebelum cikgu lanjutkan, seperti biasa kelas kita akan berlangsung selama lebih kurang 1 jam dan cikgu akan berikan kod 6 aksara di sepanjang kelas ini dan anda bolehlah isikan kod perkenaan pada link rekod kredit yang akan dikongsikan di hujung siaran nanti. Link sijil juga akan turut dikongsikan dan anda boleh isikan dalam tempoh 30 minit setelah siaran langsung ini tamat. Okay, link sijil boleh diisi menggunakan email EDD, email MOE, email MyGuru ataupun email MyJawi sahaja. Okay, jadi anak-anak pelajar, adakah anda sudah bersedia? Are you ready for the lesson? Kita intai-intai sebentar siapa yang ada bersama kita di talian pada petang ini. Kita ada JY1104. Apa khabar? JY1104. Tak tahu nama sebenar dia apa, dia pakai kod saja. Okay. Selain itu kita ada beberapa orang lagi di talian. Okay, dan anda boleh say hi supaya cikgu tahu anda ada di sana. Okey, jadi sebelum cikgu serahkan kepada Mr. Peh untuk memulakan kelas, cikgu berikan dahulu dua kod yang pertama iaitu A1. Okey, sekali lagi dua kod yang pertama A1. Okey anak-anak, jom kita dengarkan perkongsian daripada Mr. Peh. Silakan Mr. Peh.
Okay, so thank you Cikgu Hastita. Okay, so selamat tahun baru. Okay, so dalam tahun harimau ini saya berharap para pelajar boleh hari-hari mau belajar bersungguh-sungguh. Okay.
Yes, betul.
Okay, so ini adalah kelas tuition percuma Fizik SPM untuk schedule untuk semua. Okay, so tingkatan 5 diadakan pada setiap hari Jumaat 9.30. Okay, so untuk kelas tingkatan 4 seperti hari ini, okay, akan diadakan nanti ini, okay, pukul 2 setiap hari Ahad. Okay, so ini adalah panitia Fizik SPM Akademi YouTuber Malaysia. Okay, so hari ini bersama Cikgu Peh di sini ada Cikgu Izian, Cikgu Hastita dan Cikgu Ko. Okay, terima kasih bersama saya pada petang ini. Okay, so saya Mr. Peh, okay, dari SMJK Tinggi Cina Melaka. Okay, so hari ini, so saya akan membuat, okay, ulang kaji juga, okay, peperiksaan pengenal akhir tingkatan 4. So saya akan fokus kepada teknik menjawab kertas 3 dengan contoh-contoh, okay, eksperimen yang telah anda jalankan pada tingkatan 4. Okay, so format instrumen fizik SPM, fizik kod 4531, okay, mulai tahun ini. Okay, so ada 3 kertas seperti biasa yang kita sudah kenalkan sejak siri 1. Okay, so kertas 1 dan 2 adalah jenis ujian bertulis. Kertas 3 pula adalah ujian amali. Okay, so untuk kertas 1 dan 2, okay, so sejak siri 1, okay, so kita sebanyak telah kenalkan apa itu aneka pilihan gabungan. Okay, untuk kertas 1, so anda boleh tengok balik, okay, apa yang Cikgu Peh dengan Cikgu Hastita yang bincangkan. Okay, so kertas 2 pula ada subjektif berstruktur, respon terhad dan respon terbuka. Okay, so untuk kertas 3, jenis soalan dia adalah subjektif berstruktur. Okay, so bilangan soalan yang kena dijawab. Okay, untuk kertas 1 ada 40 soalan, kena jawab semua. Jumlah markah adalah 40. Okay, dan untuk kertas 2, so ada 3 bahagian. Bahagian A ada 8 item, so perlu jawab semua. Jumlah markah 60. Section B, 2 item, okay, pilih 1 ataupun nak jawab 2 pun boleh. Okay, so markah yang tertinggi akan dipilih. Okay, so itu markah 20 untuk satu soalan. Dan bahagian C, kita ada 1 item saja, okay, dan wajib dijawab. So 20 markah. Okay, so kertas 3 item jawab mengikut subjek yang didaftar. So bermaksud di sini, sekiranya anda, okay, daftar 2 subjek, contoh fizik dengan chemistry, so you jawablah 2 soalan saja. Kalau kamu daftar 3 subjek, so kamu kena jawablah 3 soalan tersebut. Okay, so jumlah markah untuk kertas 1 40, kertas 2 100, kertas 3 15 markah untuk setiap item. Setiap item masuk di sini untuk subjek masing-masing. Okay, so maksudnya keseluruhan untuk subjek fizik adalah 155 markah. Okay. Okay, so konstruk untuk kertas 1 dan kertas 2. Okay, so ada mengingat, memahami, mengaplikasi, menganalisis, okay, menilai dan mencipta. Okay, so semua ini banyak kali, okay, kita pernah berbincang, okay, dalam siri yang sebelum ini. Okay, dan untuk yang kertas 3 ini, so mengujilah kemahiran proses sains. So tempoh ujian untuk kertas 1 adalah 1 jam 15 minit, kertas 2 2 jam 30 minit. Okay, so untuk yang kertas 3, untuk satu item, okay, ataupun satu subjek adalah 45 minit. Okay, so hari ini, okay, Cikgu Peh akan fokus kepada perbincangan soalan pada kertas 3. Okay, so this is a news format, okay, SPM KSSM Physics paper 3. Okay, so the first one, as mentioned that the instrument type will be integrated science practical test. So that means you have to conduct experiment and you get the result and answer the question given by the test, okay? And totally, as mentioned just now, we have 3 questions, okay? One subject will be 1 question. So you have to answer according to subject registered. Okay, as mentioned, if you register for 2 subjects, you have only to answer the respective question. Okay. Total mark is 50 marks per subject. Allocation time, as mentioned just now, is 45 minutes per subject. Okay. The whole paper for 3 items is actually 2 hours 15 minutes. Okay. So your advice, okay, you are allowed actually for check your apparatus and plan your experiment for the first 15 minutes. Okay, so that means you divide by 3. There is 5 minutes allocation time for each subject. Okay, so remaining we have another 2 hours. Okay, so divide by 3. So that means you have left only 40 minutes. Okay, to answer the question. Okay, so for the answering, you have to conducting experiment and complete the question, the test. Okay, so I advise that maximum you have to use only 20 minutes to conducting the experiment. Okay, because you need to complete the question. Okay, within the another 20 minutes. Okay, and the answer will be checking is based on your answer impression, not in the experiment. Okay, so you cannot say, okay, you cannot get the result you specified and you continue to conduct your experiment. And out you get the best result, but you cannot give the correct answer in the answer sheet. Okay, so that means you also cannot get any mark. Okay, so I advise maximum 20 minutes okay, so you're conducting your experiment and another 20 minutes you have to immediately, okay, go to complete your question. Okay, so for the physics, okay, so basically, okay, we have 2 types of question. Okay, so the first one, okay, is guided practical assessment. Okay, so in BA we call that Tugasan Amali Berpandu. So normally you will see this type of question at question number 1 and number 2. So what means by Tugasan Amali Berpandu? So that means the procedure and the diagram will be given in the question. Okay, you just follow, okay, what's the instruction given. So this type of question will be easy, okay, for candidate to answer. Okay, however, for another type is non-guided practical assignment. So in BA we call that Tugasan Amali Tidak Berpandu. So it will be at the question number 3. Okay, so where the procedure and diagram of the experiment will be not provided. So this will be more difficult compared to question 1 and number 2. Okay, so however, physics will be answer only 1 question. For example, if I say physics drop at question number 1, so that means the question for physics will be guided practical assignment. Okay, so the procedure and the diagram given. Okay, while if I say drop at question number 3, okay, so that means the question will be non-guided, okay, practical assignment. So you will be answer only 1 question actually. Okay, so I hope that you are understand. Okay, if any question, you can just drop your message at the chat room. Okay, so the next, let us discuss the first question. Okay, so it's regarding the Tugasan Amali Berpandu. Okay, so this is the compulsory experiment. Okay, for Form 4. Okay, at Chapter 2. Okay, we study the relationship between the inertia and the mass. Okay, so you can look at the hypothesis for the experiment. Okay, so we call that how you conducting the experiment. Okay, so the larger the mass, so the larger the inertia. Okay, so the conclusion for this experiment, if you remember, actually the mass increase, the inertia will be increased. So the inertia represented by the time taken for oscillation. Okay, so that means the processing will be oscillate longer time. Okay, if I say the mass of the processing increase. Okay, so how this compulsory experiment related to our paper 3. Okay, So here we have a question, okay? So question 1. Okay, so this is the distribution mark, okay, for the question I'm going to discuss with you. Okay, so here the variable here is 2 marks. So what is variable here? So the question asking you regarding the constant variable, manipulated variable, responding variable, okay? So for this question is given 2 marks, okay? So tabulation, okay, so you have to make a table, okay? So draw a graph, data analysis, and find the gradients, okay? So total 15 marks, okay? So this is the criteria to ask in question 1, okay? Okay, so all others item you learn, okay, to write your compulsory report will be asked, okay? So in your compulsory report, okay, you have already practiced for so many experiments, okay? So we already know how to write the variable, inference, hypothesis, precaution, okay, and others. So that means this type of question, okay, may also to ask, okay, in the paper 3. Okay, so let us see our question. Question number 1, okay. So you are not allowed to work with apparatus in the first 5 minutes, okay. So this period is used to check the apparatus list, read the question, and plan your experiment, which is carried out. Okay, so here already mentioned you cannot conducting your experiment. These 5 minutes you are able to do planning, check apparatus. Okay, so firstly you have to take out, okay, all the apparatus, okay, in the basin normally, okay. So so here you can see that the apparatus here listed is processing with different methods, okay. So 30 gram, so that means the processing already wait for all candidates in this question, so you no need to wait again, okay. So the processing suppose have already weighed and label with the respective mass, okay. Okay, so you have to check each one, okay. So the G clamp, okay, blade, stopwatch, and meter rule, okay. So if let's say you check already all the quantity and the apparatus is correct, so you have to tick lah, okay, tick, okay, showing that, okay, all the apparatus is enough, okay. So that means within these 5 minutes, okay, not only you need to check the apparatus, you have to faster immediately and read the question, okay. So you are required to carry out an experiment to study the relationship between mass of the practicing, which the unit is m, okay, here, and period of oscillation t. Okay, so the first step, you have to identify what is the manipulated variable and the responding variable. Okay, for this question is write diary. Okay, already give the end of the experiment. Okay, so from here you can see. Okay, so the mass of practicing is the manipulated variable, and the period of oscillation is responding variable. So you have to identify. Okay, because mostly the question will asking the experiment, okay, which you have already learned, okay. Okay, so step 2, get to read procedure and the diagram already given, because this question is actually the question 1, okay, or 2 is a guided one, okay. So the procedure is given and the diagram is given, okay. So we just within the 5 minutes, okay, go through the procedure very fast, okay. So carry out the experiment by using the step below, okay. Arrange the apparatus according to a diagram, okay. So you can see like this, okay. Attach the practicing with the mass of 30. So initially, okay, started the experiment with 30 gram, okay, and then move the blade to one side, okay. So that means brings to another side, okay. So and release. So you have to imagine what you have to going to do after the 15 minutes, okay. So record the time taken for 10 complete oscillation using a stopwatch, okay. And then repeating the experiment, okay, step 2 and 3 for other methods of the processing, okay. So first reading, okay, 30 gram, okay, and the second you have to correct the responding variable here is time taken for 10 oscillation, okay. So one oscillation will be, let's say here is P, here is Q, so will be from P to Q and then back to P again. So this is considered as one complete oscillation. So you have to count 10 complete oscillation. Okay. Okay, so and then do for others another 4 manipulated variable. Okay, so you have to draft the table or at any way you just draft. Okay, so the first reading is 30 gram, 40 gram, 50, 60, 70. Okay, and then this is the length. This is a 10 second, sorry, 10 second for 10 string. Okay, so this is the procedure. Okay, what you have to do. Okay, within these 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, so after that, okay, so when you're allowed to do your experiment, okay, so you are advised to complete experiment and correcting the reading, okay, 5 reading, okay, you have to do minimum 5 reading, okay, for your experiment, okay, but for question 1 and 2, okay, so all the reading is given, you just follow what instruction given, okay, so maximum I advise 20 minutes you have to complete your experiment, okay. Okay, so here you have to know that your uh, responding variable, okay, using the stopwatch. So the smallest deviation here is 0.1 second. So your reading need to take minimum, okay, until at least 1 decimal point. You let's say you give your answer without 1 decimal point, so consider it's wrong, okay. Okay, so now we just imagine, okay, we conducting our experiment, okay. So for the first reading, we taking the m equal to 30 gram, okay. So we get our time taken for 10 oscillation, okay, is 10.8, okay. We just imagine, okay. So after that, we get our second reading, okay. So you can see the processing become bigger, right? Okay. So as mentioned, so here is P and here is Q. So one oscillation is from P to Q and then back to P again. So this is considered one oscillation. Okay. So the time taken for our second reading, okay, is about 12.9. Okay. So you can see the decimal given here is 1 decimal. Okay. So again, okay, we do for third reading 50 gram. Okay, we get 14.6. And for the 60 gram, we get our fourth reading is 15.9. And the fifth reading, okay, will be when m equal to 70 grams, the persistent size, okay. So uh, the oscillation time is expected increases, okay. So when you get your reading is increases, so that means should be no problem, okay. So after conducting the experiment faster, okay, we go for our question because the marker will see your answer sheet only, okay, not see how you conducting the experiment, okay. Okay, so the question here, okay, so the first, based on the experiment conducted, you are required, okay, to state, okay, as mentioned, here got 2 marks, okay, for manipulator, sorry, for variable. So the first mark given for manipulator and responding, okay. So according to the picture, okay, we know that, okay, so the manipulated variable will be mass, okay, so mass of the predicate, okay, and the responding will be the time taken for the oscillation, okay, so period of oscillation. You can just follow the statement given at the question, okay. So okay, so just now, okay, as mentioned at the question, okay, so the mass of predicate is given, okay. So this is manipulated variable. So you can just straight away get your answer here, okay? And the responding variable is stated here already. So you take from the question, period of oscillation, okay? So normally paper 3, all the information will be given, okay, at the question already, okay? Okay, so we go back to, okay, our question. Okay, so if your manipulated variable and responding variable correct for both, you'll get the first mark for this question, okay? So the constant variable here, okay, so the length of the blade should be constant, okay? So the length of the hacksaw blade must be constant. Okay, if let's say our hacksaw blade become longer, okay, so that means the oscillation time will be longer, just like the experiment we did at the chapter 1, okay, regarding the relationship between the length of pendulum to the time taken of the oscillation. Okay, so length increases, period oscillation increases. So that means the length should be always the same. Okay. Okay, so this is the 1A. Okay, so for B, tabulate your result for all value m, t, capital T, and t squared. Okay, so normally these all already symbol already stated at the question. Okay, and tabulation normally you see is very high mark. Okay, six mark. Okay, so what you have to do here? So the first, you must make sure symbol and parameter is stated at each column. Okay, so this is the actually here got three important tips. Okay, you have to fulfill. Okay, to ensure that you can get full marks. Okay, for tabulation. Okay, so the first is the symbol or parameter. Okay, you just using whatever the symbol given at the question there. Okay. Okay, so the second, you have to give the correct answer for each parameter. Okay, you can circle each column must given the correct unit. Okay, you cannot mix up. Okay, at each column. So the third one, okay, is the consistent or decimal point. Okay, as mentioned that, okay, so the question given, the methods for each practicing is given. So this one is not any problem. You just follow what's the reading given by the question. Okay, so for the time, you can see, as mentioned, the stopwatch, okay, have the smallest division with 1 decimal point. Okay, so you have to give 1 decimal point at your reading here. Okay, to showing that the sensitivity of the apparatus. Okay, so again, all the decimal place must be same. Okay, here is 1 decimal point, so all must be the same. Okay, then the second, okay, so the T is a period oscillation. That means the question actually asking us to find out one time taken for one oscillation. Okay, so you just divide by 10. Okay, so you get 1.08. Okay, so the second one also use the same method, 12.9 divided by 10. So you'll get 1.29. So again, the decimal place must be consistent. Okay, for all reading. Okay, so the last one, 2 square, actually t square. Okay, so we just using 1.08 times 1.08, so you will get 1.1664. Okay, if let's say you round off already to become 1.17, 2 decimal point, so all the value here must be 2 decimal point. If let's say you put 1.3 decimal point, okay, 1.166, so all others value must be have the same consistent decimal point. Okay, so this is 3 important tips now. Okay, you have to remember. Okay, for tabulation question. Okay, so after that, the next question is regarding the graph. Okay, so normally physics. Okay, so the paper 3 will ask you to plot the graph. Okay, so here the question asks you to plot the graph t squared against m. Okay, so 3 marks. How we can get full 3 marks? So here we have 6 important tips. Okay, you have to remember. Okay, so this is the reading I take up from the previous slide. Okay, so the question asks us to plot t squared against m. Sorry, here is suppose m per grammar. Okay, okay, so we just first you have to give the symbol, okay, for axis x and y. This is the first tips you have to do. The second, okay, is a unit, okay, for x-axis and y-axis also. Okay, we just follow what the question requests. T square is at y-axis, m is at x-axis. Okay, so this is the first two, and then okay, so third one, correct skew. Okay, so what means by correct skew here? So the first, you have to identify the minimum and maximum value for each parameter. So for example, here for the max, minimum 30, maximum is 70. So you can see, so our reading for the axis, the skew at the axis x must be have our maximum and minimum value. Okay, so here we give 10, 20, 30. You cannot start with 30 and then 40, 50, 60. Okay, so that means the 1 unit, okay, at the first box here representing 30 units. Okay, so the next is 10. So that means this is not consistent skew. So we must make sure that our skew at axis x and y must be consistent increasing. Okay. Okay, so the second, you must start with 0. So here must be origin. Okay, and the skew you choose must be multiple 1, 2, 5, or 10. So like for example here, our x-axis here is considered as a multiplication of 10. Okay, you cannot give the multiplication as 1 unit. The 1 unit here, you represent 1 box. Okay, so 1 unit represent to 3, cannot. 1 unit represent to 4, cannot. Okay, 6, 7, 8, and 9 also cannot. So we just accept 1, 2, 5, and 10. Okay, so you can look at the axis y here. So we started with 0.5. So that means this is a multiplication of 5. Okay, so we're covering the minimum value 1.17 and the maximum value is 1.06. So you see that my maximum here, not 3.0, must be greater than 3.60. So I put 3.5. So I fulfill the third criteria. Okay, so within the minimum and maximum value for our parameter. Okay. Okay, so the next, okay, so size of the graph must be 4 units times 5 units. So what means by 4 times 5? 4 means here, 4. 5 means here, 5 box, 5 unit here. So your graph must be at least this size. If smaller than this size, will be deduction for your mark. Okay, so here that means that minimum you have to draw at least half page of your graph paper. Okay, so this is the fourth tips you have to remember. Okay, so from here you can see our smaller division for x-axis is 1, and small division means the smaller box. Okay, and the y-axis is 0.05. Okay, is 0.5 divide 10. Okay, so we know already our smallest division for each axis, so that we can plot our point correctly. Okay, so for example, here we started our first reading with 30 and 1.17. Okay, so 30 will be here. 1.17, that means one box is representing 0.05. So another 0.02, that means we need another 4 small box. Okay, so we round off to 1.2. Okay, so the reading will be here. This is the first. Okay, the second, okay, we round off to 1.7. Okay, because we're not able to plot until decimal number 2, second decimal. Okay, so we round off. Okay, become 1.7, so will be probably here. Okay, and others also the same. Okay, so we get this one. Okay, the last tips here, you have to draw baseline. So what is baseline here? So you can see the upper part of the line here, we got 1 point. The lower part of the line, we have another point here. So that means, and the distance, okay, you can see the distance. The point to the line, okay, is also the same balance, okay, and also quite close to our line. So this side of graph we consider as a baseline. But if I say your graph like this, all the point is above, okay, above the line. So this is not a baseline, okay, or all the line is below, all the points below the line. So this is also not considered as a baseline. So we must have the point above and below the line, okay? And the distance, okay, must be balanced for bottom and the upper part. Okay, so this one is considered is the 6 tips, okay, you have to fulfill, okay? Okay, so that you can get the full marks for this question. Okay, so the next one will be data analysis. Okay, this one actually is we have to study the relationship, okay, between the t square and m. Okay, so for this question, we have to look at our graph. You can see that our line is passing through origin. Okay, passing through origin. So, and it's a straight line. So this is called directly proportional. So you just mentioned t square is directly proportional to m. So you get 1 mark. Okay, so avoid right, okay, t square increases, m increases in paper 3. Okay, so this is not the relationship you have to stack in paper 3. Okay, if according to the marking method, which is follow the KPSM. Okay, so this is the first year for our KSSM. So I think that the marking method should be the same. Okay, so anything to update, we will try to update it our class here. Okay, so this is actually the revision for the interpretation of the graph. Okay, so this one is at chapter 1. Actually, chapter 1, when we study chapter 1, we seem like nothing, okay, will come out at our question SPM. Actually, chapter 1 is the application of the knowledge, okay, in our compulsory experiment and also the paper 3, okay. Okay, so just now, okay, so our graph is pass through origin, okay, with straight line. So we call y is direct proportional to x. So BN kada terus ataupun langsung. Okay, so you like say your graph you get straight line but not passing through the origin. So you have to give y increases linearly with x. BN bertambah secara linear. Linear because the line is straight line. Okay, so total we actually learn, okay, 6 different type of shape, okay, the graph, okay, in chapter 1. So the third one is y decreases linearly with x. Y berkurang secara linear, okay, boleh nampak dia punya line berkurang dan bergaris lurus. Okay, the example of this type of graph you will see at experiment form 5, okay, chapter 3, determine the ENF and the inertia. Inertia in internal resistance. Okay, you can see this type of graph. Okay, and the fourth one, okay, you can see the no more straight line. Okay, but you can see y is increases when the value x is increased. Okay, so this is y increases with x. Okay, BM y bertambah dengan x, no more linear. Okay, okay, so example of the experiment is experiment for non-ohmic conductor. So the graph you plot is V against I. Okay, you will not get any straight line. For ohmic conductor, you'll get a straight line, okay, which is passing through origin. Okay, but if let's say we study the non-ohmic conductor, okay, this is a compulsory experiment, okay, for form 5 chapter 3. Okay, okay, so here the slide number 5. Okay, so you can see the graph. So the value is decreases and the line is not a straight line. So you just mentioned y decreases with x. Okay, and then the last one, okay, so this is also considered as a quite popular relationship, okay, you have to remember. Okay, so where the value, okay, x increases and the y decreases. Okay, but you can see at this graph, okay, so the value here and here will be go for infinity. Okay, but if let's say you change your graph, okay, to 1 against 1 over x, you'll get a straight line passing through origin. So this relationship we call as inversely proportional. Okay, so what we always mention in our paper 2 also, right? Why we cannot write inversely proportional, okay? So we have to write when S increases and Y increases. Hopefully this is a difference actually, okay, between Y proportional or inversely, okay? So that is different, okay? So this type of the relationship you have to remember, okay? So if let's say your graph is with different shape, okay, so you have to know their relationship, okay? Okay, so this graph you'll see at Boyle's law and the experiment at chapter 3, electricity also. Resistance versus the cross-sectional area with wire, okay? Okay, so the last one is the gradients. Okay, so we have to find K, which is the gradient for t squared against m. Against, you have to see your graph. Okay, the first 3 mark, here we have 3 marks. The first mark will be for your triangle, right? Triangle must be bigger, must be big enough. Okay, so this is the first mark. Second, okay, so we get the 2 points. We substitute the formula y1 minus y2, s1 minus s2. So these are the gradients. Okay, you have learned at your PT3 mathematics from 3. Okay, so and now you get 0.041. Okay, your answer must be with correct units. Okay, so this is 3 mark. You have to remember that. Okay, so this is the first question. Okay, so we can take a break. Okay, so Cikgu Hasita.
Okey, baik Mr. Peh. Jadi itu dia Cikgu Peh dah bincangkan tadi soalan yang pertama. Jadi anak-anak pelajar jangan ke mana-mana, kita akan kembali lagi seketika nanti.
Wow, banyaknya hadiah menarik menanti anda.
Wah, kini Akademi YouTuber mengambil inisiatif baru di mana memberikan hadiah-hadiah ini secara percuma. Ya, percuma kepada anda semua. Bagaimana caranya? Dengan mengikuti kelas tuition online percuma Akademi YouTuber sambil mengutip mata kredit, anda dapat menukarkannya dengan hadiah-hadiah yang menarik ini. Tunggu apa lagi? Segalanya percuma.
Jangan lepaskan peluang tau. Dah dapat banyak hadiah menarik, takkan nak lepaskan peluang.
Layari www.academyyoutuber.com sekarang untuk maklumat lanjut.
Baiklah, bertemu kembali dalam siri ulang kaji SPM Fizik tingkatan 4. Hari ini kita bincangkan teknik menjawab kertas 3 bersama dengan Mr. Peh. Okay, sebelum kita teruskan, izinkan cikgu berikan dahulu kod yang ketiga dan keempat, iaitu nombor 79. Okay, cikgu ulang sekali lagi, kod yang ketiga dan keempat, angkanya 79. Okey, silakan Mr. Peh, teruskan.
Okay, so terima kasih Cikgu Hasita. Okay, so we go to second question also, Tugasan Amali Berpandu. Okay, so that means the procedure and diagram is given. Okay, so this is experiment you can see at chapter 1. Okay, but this one is not a compulsory experiment. Okay, so here also we study the relationship between the mass and the extension of the spring. But this one is a compulsory experiment for Form 5. Okay, which we study the elasticity. Okay, but Form 4 we just go through how to do the relationship between the MV and RV based on this experiment. Okay, so based on this experiment, okay, so we can see that the mass increase, the extension of the spring will be increased. Okay, so let's see what's the question can be related in paper 3 for this experiment. Okay, so as mentioned, okay, so Tugasan Amali Berpandu, okay, so the procedure and diagram will be given. Okay, so for this question, the distribution mark is also around the variable, tabulation, graph, data analysis, and gradient. So you can see the tabulation is always with very high mark. Okay, so we must know what to do at your tabulation question. Okay, so again, so besides the variable, tabulation, graph, gradients, and data analysis here, So the inference, precaution, and others also possible to ask you what you already learned in your compulsory experiment report, okay? Okay, so the question here also, first one, okay, you are not allowed, okay, so to conduct your experiment with the first 5 minutes. You have to check your apparatus and plan your experiment in the first 5 minutes, okay? So here, so the apparatus here is a sorted mass, okay, with different masses. So 50 gram, 100, 150, 200, and 250. Okay, so here, the first 50 gram is together with the hog. So later on, you can see what is the hog. Okay, so pin, meter rule, spring, rattle stand with clamp. Okay, so if I say all material with the quantity is correct, you just tick, okay? And immediately you go to read your question. Okay, so this one, you are required to conduct an experiment to determine the spring constant. Okay, so this one, the M here, without mention the MV and RV, okay? So you still can get your MV and RV at your procedure, okay? So again, the first, you have to identify MV and RV, but here, M not given any information RV. Okay, so you just go through your procedure. So first, arrange the apparatus according to diagram. Okay. So second, okay, mark the position, okay, of the pin without load. Okay, so it will be like the diagram here. Okay, and then you record the length, okay, length of the spring here. So here will be L naught lah. Okay, so the second one you can see, hang the 50 gram sorted weight, okay, on the spring and record. Okay, so here actually you can get your first reading of MV already. Okay, and then here mention what to record. So record the reading. So that means the length of the spring sketches L1. So will be possible as our RV, right? So we continue reading here. So calculate the extension of spring. So the question here, I want you to find out the extension, not the length after you put the weight, okay? So that means that the MV, very clear that is the sorted weight. Okay, the mass of the sorted weight, okay? And the responding here will be the extensions of the spring. Okay, so this is the first, you're still able to identify your MV and RV at your procedure. Okay, so the first manipulator variable here is 50. Okay, and then the another 4 MV will be here 100, 150, 200, and 250. So the question will given you minimum 5 reading. Okay, you just follow. Okay, okay, so again, you can read the procedure. We already read, okay? And the diagram is already here. So you try to relate your MV and RV, okay? And what the minimum 5 data you need to find out, okay? Again, okay, you draft your table. Okay, here you draft lah. So the first one, 50. So how many length you get? 60. Sorry, the second is 100. 150, 200, 250. So probably you already know what you want to do, okay, after you're able to conduct your experiment. So these all things you have to do within 5 minutes. Okay? Okay, so you can start to conduct your experiment. Okay, so here you can see the first one, 0 gram. Okay, so we get 19. The value here is 4. So we minus, we get our length of the spring is 15. But actually, if let's say you not minus 4 initial reading for the spring, you will end up get the same extension actually. Okay, but this is the correct length lah for the L naught lah. So the second one also the same. The length of L1 here will be L2, which is 20. Okay, minus L1 here, which is 4. Okay, you get 16. And then when you hang another one, sorted weight. Okay, so the hook actually is already 50 gram. Okay, so you put one of the sorted mass, okay, so you get 100 gram. So you get the reading is 17.1. Okay, here you get 12.1. Actually 21.1. So you minus 4, you get this one. So again, the smaller division for meter rule, okay, is 0.1 cm. Okay, so you have to know what is the smallest division here, because the smallest division will let you know what's the reading or how many decimal point you have to mention at your table later on. Okay, okay, so the next reading here, okay, you can see, okay, when 150, okay, so the reading here is 22.1 minus 4, okay, we get 18.1. Okay, when 200 gram, okay, here is 23 minus 4, okay, we get 19.1. Okay, and then the next 250 gram, okay, we get the reading here is 24.2. Okay, minus 4. Okay, so your reading is 20.2 cm. Okay, so again, we get our 5 manipulated reading and also responding. So the next question will be asked you tabulation normally. Okay, so here variable. So based on the experiment conducted, you are required to identify manipulated and responding. Okay, so here give each 1 mark. Okay, so you look at the figure here, you can see here the different methods, okay, for the sorted weight will be placed on the hog. Okay, so for sure that the MB will be mass of the sorted weight. Okay, and then we want to see what's the extension here. Sorry, we not say we want to see the length of the spring. We want to find out the length after extension. Okay, so here is the extension of spring. Okay, so already started at the procedure. Okay, just now I've circled already. Okay, the next question here will be tabulation. Okay, 6 mark again. So as mentioned that you have to know the 3 important tips here. Okay, so again, first you can look at the question to ask you to record M, F, L naught, okay, initial length of the spring. L1 is after extension. The X, we want to know how many extension. All the parameter and symbol already given at the procedure. Okay, so the first tips, again, you have to state the symbol for all column. And second, correct unit for all column also. Okay. Okay, so the third one, consistent decimal point. Okay, so this is a mass, so no any decimal point here. So you just follow, okay, the value given by the question. Okay, so for the F, you can see here got formula. F equal to mg. M will be kg. So we have to change our 50 gram to kg. And then we multiply with 10, which is g. So we get 0.5. So the calculation here will be here. 50 gram change to kg as a unit multiply with g. So you get 0.5. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, so the second value also the same. 100 divide 1000, you get kg. Multiply 10, you get 1. So again, make sure that your value is consistent in decimal point. You can see if I say 0.185 is stacked with 1 decimal point, and 1.0 is just put 1 without decimal point, which is 0.0. So this is wrong. Okay, okay, so that means it is considered not consistent in decimal point. So this is a thing you have to remember. Okay, so the next one will be L naught. Okay, L naught already stated here. So 19 minus 4 as mentioned just now. Okay, so we get 15.0. Why 0.0? Because the smallest division of the meter rule is 0.1. So you have to give at least, sorry, you must give 1 decimal point. Okay, so to show you the consistent of the decimal point. So L1, okay, so that means 15 cm is wrong as mentioned. Okay, so the L1, okay, so we take the first reading 20 minus 4, 16.0 also, because the smallest division for the meter rule is 0.1. Okay, so the others value, okay, you can get at your measurement. Okay, so again, make sure all is with 1 decimal point. Okay, so x, we just calculate by using the formula here. Okay, we get 1.0. 16 minus 15, we get 1. The next one, 17.1 minus 15, we get 2.1. And others also using the same method. Again, make sure all the decimal point is consistent. So you will get 6 full mark, okay? So very easy to get full mark. Okay, so the graph question asking you to plot f against x. So again, we take our reading, okay, from table. Okay, so we plot f against x. So the first symbol must be stated. So for graph, we have 6 important ticks here. The first is symbol, second is unit, third, we have choose the correct skill as mentioned, identify minimum, maximum value here, 0.5 and 2.5. Okay, for the y-axis, and x-axis must be within 1 to 1.2. And started the value with 0, and we can just using the multiplication 1, 2, 5, and 10 as mentioned at question number 1. Okay, so you can see here, so the x-axis, the value stated is between our minimum and maximum value, and the y-axis, x-axis 1 to 6 is within our minimum and maximum 5.2. Okay, so that means we already fulfill our third requirement. Okay, the fourth, again, I mentioned that we must draw our graph bigger than 4 times slide. 4 means 4 box at the x-axis, 5 means at the y-axis. So this is the minimum size of our graph. Okay, so the minimum division for the each axis will be 0.1 for x-axis and y-axis 0.05. Okay, you're using 0.5 divided by 10, you get 0.05. 1 divided by 10, you get 0.1. Because inside the box here, we have 10 smaller box. Okay. Okay, so again, we need to plot our point, okay, correctly. Okay, so the first one is 0.5 and 1. So 1 is here, 0.5 is here. So it's very easy to get the correct point for this experiment. So the second, okay, will be 2.1, 1.0 will be here. And others also the same. So again, the last one will be draw the dash line. So as mentioned, dash line will be have the balance of point at the upper part and lower part. Okay, so you'll get full marks if you fulfill, okay, these 6 important tips here. Okay, so the next will be, again, asking you, you can see that most of the questions will ask the relationship, okay? So you must remember the 6 interpretation graph, okay, you have already learned in your Form 4 Chapter 1, okay? So here again, we look at our graph, you can see here, again, pass through origin and a straight line. So this will be directly proportional. Okay, if I say you get your result, it's a straight line but passing through, not passing through origin. So you can mention your answer, f increases linearly to x. So the relationship here is based on your result. Okay, so this is D. Okay, so the gradients. So the question asks you to find the gradients. So again, we need to use our graph. Here got 3 marks. First mark, you have to draw big enough right angle triangle here. If I say too small, 1 mark will be deducted. Okay, why? Because if the triangle is too small, the accuracy of the gradients will be decreased. Okay, so you have to showing the large enough triangle, okay, at your graph. Okay, the second, we get our point, we substitute to formula again is y1 minus y2, x1 minus x2. So gradients, this formula. So you get your answer here 0.48. Again, must give correct unit. Okay, so you can see y divided by x. Our y is Newton, our x is cm. So that means Newton per cm. So very easy one. Okay. Okay, so last question is the more difficult one. Okay, so this is a non-guided practical assignment. In BM, we call Tugasan Amali Tidak Berpandu. So that means the procedure is not given. Okay, so again, this one I take from experiment chapter 1 is the most easiest one. Okay, so because I cannot show you the stimulation in life. Okay, so I probably pick the more easiest experiment to let you more understand. Okay, so this is the relationship between the length of the pendulum and the period of oscillation. So that means when the length increase, so the time second for oscillation also increase. Okay. Okay, so for this question, the distribution mark, okay, will be like this. So the diagram and procedure is 4 marks. Okay, precaution 1 mark, tabulation, you see, very high mark because the data you're conducting in your experiment will be showing here. So that's why the tabulation is very important for both type of the question. Okay, so and then again ask you to graph, and the last one is hypothesis. That means the data analysis. Okay, so no procedure given for this question. So again, inference, precaution, operational definition, or others, what you already learned how to write in your compulsory report. All the criteria will be asked, okay, or item will be asked in your possible to ask in your paper 3. Okay, so again, okay, so within 5 minutes, you have to check all the apparatus here. So pendulum bar, meter rule, stopwatch, rector stand with clamp, and the thread, okay, with 100 cm. So within 5 minutes, check your apparatus and immediately go to read, okay, the question. So the question here, you are required to carry out experiment to study relationship between pendulum, length of pendulum, and the oscillation. You can see all the symbol already started, okay? So you just follow. You cannot simply change the symbol given, okay? Okay, so here, very clear that, okay, so we identify the MV and RV. So the MV will be length of pendulum, and the RV will be oscillation period, okay? So this is the RV. So it's very easy compared to second question, okay? So we can get from the M already. Okay, so the next, okay, so question asks you to plan your experiment by using the apparatus and material provided. And then your procedure, you have to write a procedure here, okay? Must be mentioned the variable. So what's the variable here? Must be MV and RV, okay? And then you have to give precaution at your question here. So 4 marks, here is 5 marks, okay? 5 marks for this question. So 4 marks were given for your procedure, okay? 1 mark for your precaution. So you have to think how you can get 5 marks for the question, okay? So for the pendulum, we very sure that the experiment, okay? So the MV will be length, okay? And the RV will be time second. So we need to sketch, okay? So this one really, I take the picture already, but you can just sketch first, okay? To let you know how to conduct the experiment. Later on, you only draw a very nice picture, okay? Okay, so second step, sketch a diagram and relate MV and RV. So here the MV must be the length of pendulum, and the RV here will be time taken for the oscillation. Here we taken time 10 oscillation. Okay, anybody ask why must 10? Because if let's say you want to take 1 oscillation, it's too short already. Okay, so it's unable to take 1 oscillation in 1 time. So that's why we will use 10 oscillation, 20 oscillation. Okay, then divide by 20. Okay, so this is what we able to conduct a real experiment. Okay. Okay, so after that, we have to write procedure. Okay, you can conduct your experiment first actually. Okay, you list out. Okay, so here the length. We know length is the MV already, so you have to give 5 reading here. So the question here not given you any reading, so that means you can give any logic, okay, logic 5 reading. So that means the length of the track maximum is 100. Impossible you give 110 cm, right? Okay, so that means maybe you can give 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. You already got any 5 reading here. You can give also 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, as no any reading given, okay, in this type of question, you are able to give any 5 reading. You can give 6 also, but minimum you have to give 5. Okay? Okay, so 5 marks here. The first will be the procedure regarding the diagram. So first mark, normally we would write like this. We draw our diagram. We just give the sentence like this. Set down the apparatus as shown in the figure. This one will be first mark. Okay, it's a very standard one. You draw diagram, you write this one, you get first mark. Okay. The second, you give your first manipulated variable and record your RV. So our first manipulated variable here will be length of the pendulum, and RV here will be time taken for our 10 oscillation. Okay, so you can see, set the length of pendulum. My reading here I give 20 lah, or you can have your own 5 reading. Okay, so displace the pendulum aside at angle less than 10 from the vertical. Release it, record the time taken for 10 oscillation. So here I got MV. Here I got my RV. So why got this sentence here? Because the question asks us to give one precaution. So your precaution can settle anyway. If I say you not mention it here, also never mind, you can give another sentence at the end of the procedure, as long as you give your procedure anyway. Okay, so here you get second mark for the first MV and RV. Third mark you get for procedure, as I mentioned here. Okay, so here I mentioned already, precaution, a pendulum swinging through a large angle. So why we must swing at the angle less than 10 degrees? Okay, because as the angle increases, the gravitational force effect will be bigger. So the accuracy of your reading will be reduced. Okay, so this is the precaution I stated. You can give others which is suitable. Okay, for example, avoid parallax error when taking the length of the pendulum. This one also another precaution which is suitable for this question. Okay, okay, so the mark number 4, okay, repeat your experiment with another 4 reading. So I already give my first reading 20, another 4 will be 30, 40, 50, and 60. As mentioned, you can give your own reading. If I say you want to start with 40, 60, 70, 80, 90, also possible because the track given is 100. Okay, so give any possible value here. Okay, so for this question, with another mark, which is you need to calculate the T1 oscillation by using the formula T over 10. Okay, so normally this type of question will be 4 marks. I just go through the whatever reference book now. Okay, so I see that this question given 5 because of this. Normally will be 4. First mark will be diagram. Second mark will be first MV, record your RV. The third will be repeating your another 4 MV, and another one will be precaution. Okay, so this one I see another mark given is because of the T. Okay, because we cannot get, as mentioned, we cannot get one oscillation in shorter time. Okay, so but we need to find out the RV actually is a period of oscillation for one swing. Okay. Okay, so I will go very fast now, okay, because already 3. Okay, so again, okay, we started our experiment and need to complete within 20 minutes maximum. Okay, and you need to take at least 5 readings here. Okay, so again, you can see first reading with L equal to 20 for my experiment. Okay, so again, you must know the smallest division for your apparatus here. So the stopwatch analog here will be 0.1, the smallest segment here. So that means your reading must be given at 1 decimal point. Okay, so here is 0.9. Okay, and then when L equal to 30, okay, you can see the red one. When the length become longer, expected result will be time taken longer, right? So 11. If I say you get shorter, must be something wrong already. Okay, we must at least got some basic knowledge, okay, what you have to get. Okay, Okay, so another reading here, when length becomes 40, you get 12.7. L 50, you get 14.2. And then when L equal to 60, you get 15.5. You can see the reading is increasing. So that means your experiment might be correctly already. Okay, so we go out to our tabulation. Again, you can see tabulate L, T, capital T, and capital T squared. So again, as mentioned, we need to fulfill 3 important tips here. The first, symbol. Second, correct unit. Third, consistent decimal. Okay, decimal point as mentioned. Okay, so for the time taken must be given 1 decimal point according to the sensitivity of the apparatus. Okay, so here, if let's say you mention 8.9, second reading you give 11 without 0.0, so this is considered not consistent. Okay, so the third one, using the formula T over 10, okay, you get 8.9 divided by 10, you get 0.89. Okay, so they will be same for others. Again, look at the consistency of decimal. Is it all is with 2? The T square, so 0.89 times 0.89, we get 0.7921. If I say you leave with 2 decimal point, make sure all consistent with 2 decimal point. Okay? Okay, so again, we go to the graph again. So, same method here. So first, symbol. Second, unit. Third, make sure maximum, minimum reading is within your scale of axis, X and Y. Okay, you can see my one is 0 to 60 to fulfill my minimum and maximum. And the Y-axis here, maximum 3, so fulfill my maximum value here. Okay, so again, using the correct multiplication. So the fourth tips here, size of the graph of 3, 4 times 5. Then give the correct point. Okay, make sure, okay, the division, smaller division, S-axis and Y-axis is how many? Okay, so for example, here 10 divided by 10 is 1. Here, 0.5 divided by 10 is 0.05. So again, you can round off to the smallest value which is possible to plot at the graph. Okay, so this is the first point. Again, here I round off because we are unable to plot 0.01. The smallest here is 0.05. So I get our second point and then the others. So again, 6 tips will be, okay, so sorry, this one is supposed to here. Sorry, this is a mistake here. It's the straight line passing through the origin. This one wrong already. Okay. Okay, so again, ask you the relationship again. So look at your graph. You can see that T square against L is a straight line passing through origin. So it is a directly proportional. So this is a popular answer, right? Okay. Okay, so that's all for my discussion. Okay, wishing you have a happy and prosperous Chinese New Year. Happy holiday. Okay, thank you. I pass to
Okey, terima kasih Mr. Peh. Okey, demikian tadi perbincangan teknik menjawab kertas 3 iaitu kertas ujian amali sains, khususnya bukan saja untuk pelajar di tingkatan 4 tetapi terutamanya calon-calon SPM yang bakal menduduki peperiksaan ini pada 15 Februari nanti. Jadi semoga apa yang dibincangkan oleh Mr. Peh tadi memberi sedikit panduan kepada anda bagaimana kita nak jawab kedua-dua bentuk amali sama ada secara berpandu ataupun tidak berpandu. Okay, nampaknya masa sangat mencemburui kita, jadi cikgu beri kesempatan untuk kawan-kawan cikgu memberikan sepatah 2 kata sebelum kita tutup majlis kita pada petang ini. Dipersilakan cikgu Kok.
Okey, tak ada apa-apalah. Pelajar, cuti dah habis. Kami kena hadapi yang SP yang akan datang untuk belajar Form 5. Untuk belajar Form 4 akan naik Form 5 lagi lah. So belajar kena berusaha lah kerana banyak orang cakap Form 4 honeymoon kan. Sekarang bukan honeymoon lah. Sekarang dah Form 5 kena belajar bersungguh-sungguh, terutama yang KSSM ni bukan syllabus yang senang, tambah topik-topik yang ada calculation dan juga sesuatu yang kami kena imagination banyak punya topics. Okay, untuk form 5 punya pelajar, okay, so just wish you all the best lah untuk March punya coming SPM exam. Okay, thank you, itu daripada saya.
Okey, terima kasih Cikgu. Okey, Cikgu Izian ada sikit pesanan untuk disampaikan, silakan.
Okey, terima kasih Cikgu Asnita. Okey, Cikgu ucapkan selamat menghadapi peperiksaan SPM kepada pelajar tingkatan 5 dan juga yang mungkin ambil peperiksaan akhir tahun untuk tingkatan 4. Semoga dapat jawab dengan tenang dan aplikasikan ilmu-ilmu yang dipelajari dalam kelas tuition percuma. Dan jangan lupa malam ni segmen khas sains lah sangat bersama Cikgu dan rakan-rakan Cikgu. Okey, itu saja.
Okey, terima kasih Cikgu Izian. Jadi anak-anak pelajar, Cikgu kongsikan dahulu 2 kod yang terakhir iaitu angkanya 86. Okey, Cikgu ulang sekali lagi 2 kod yang terakhir 86. Jadi jangan lupa layari portal Akademi YouTuber di www.academyyoutuber.com untuk anda lihat jadual kelas-kelas yang akan berlangsung di sepanjang minggu. Okay, bukan saja untuk fizik tapi juga untuk subjek-subjek yang lain. Semoga apa yang dibawakan pada hari ini dan hari-hari seterusnya memberi manfaat kepada semua yang mengikuti. Siaran ini boleh ditonton semula di link yang sama. Anda bolehlah fokus terutamanya bagaimana kita nak rekod data, bagaimana nak lukis graf dengan betul supaya kita dapat markah yang maksimum dalam kertas ini. Walaupun hanya 15 markah tetapi sebenarnya dia sangat mempengaruhi keputusan keseluruhan SPM itu nanti. Jadi cikgu doakan semoga berjaya kepada semua yang bakal menduduki SPM dan yang bakal menduduki peperiksaan akhir tahun untuk tingkatan 4. Semoga anda semua diberikan kejayaan. Jadi sekian dulu daripada kami. Jangan lupa link sidil telah dikongsikan. Begitu juga dengan link rekod kredit. Jadi anda boleh isikan link rekod kredit menggunakan kod yang cikgu berikan tadi dan juga username presenter iaitu t.me/pkh. Sekian dulu buat kali ini. Berjumpa lagi dalam Siri yang akan datang. Jangan lupa kelas fizik setiap Jumaat 9.30 malam dan Ahad 2 petang. Okay, salam hormat daripada kami. Assalamualaikum dan jumpa lagi.
Semua sekolah ditutup hingga cuti akhir tahun 17 Disember 2020. Anda tak cukup bahan? Tak ada rujukan? Tak faham? Anda nak tuition tapi PKP? Jangan risau, kami di Akademi YouTuber dengan kerjasama Kelab Guru Malaysia dan e-Didik Malaysia mengadakan kelas tuition online. Semua peringkat ada, semuanya secara percuma. Video PDPC pun ada. Apa ditunggu lagi? Layari www.academyyoutuber.com. Dibawakan kepada anda